Hi, I'm Ilan Goldstein, and you're watching the Scrum Shortcut series. In this video, we will be focusing on applying relative estimation. So let's apply this new concept to our software projects, where instead of estimating our stair climbing prowess, we need to estimate the effort required to complete product backlog items. First, we should consider the effort required to complete a PBI using three factors: complexity, repetition, and risk. Let me explain the difference. We may have a certain PBI that requires the design of a complex optimization algorithm. It may not require many lines of code, but instead a lot of thinking and analysis time. As such, the effort will be high on the complexity plane. Next, we may have a PBI that is user interface focused, requiring significant HTML tweaking across multiple browser types and versions. Although this work is not complex per se, it is very repetitious, requiring a lot of trial and error, and therefore the effort is high on the repetition plane. Another PBI might require interfacing with a new third-party product that we haven't dealt with before. This is a requirement with risk and may require significant time to overcome teething issues, and because of this, it extends along the risk plane. So when sizing up a PBI, it is necessary to take all of these factors into account. Another point to note is that we don't necessarily require detailed specifications to make relative effort estimates. For example, if the product owner wants a login function, we don't need to know what the exact mechanics, workflow, screen layouts, and so on are going to be. Those can come later when we actually implement the requirement within a sprint. All we need to know at this early stage is roughly how much effort the login function is going to require relative to, let's say, a search requirement that we had already estimated. We could say that if the search function was allocated 20 points, then the login function should be allocated 5 points if there is the feeling that it will require approximately a quarter the effort. We previously discussed the core purpose of the velocity metric, but there are a few other important factors to be aware of. Firstly, velocity is calculated by summing up the points of all PBIs completed in a sprint. Second, the most important approach for handling partially completed PBIs is to award points only to the sprint in which the PBI actually met its definition of done. And finally, although velocity can certainly be generated with only one sprint, the reality is that it won't necessarily reflect the longer-term average because velocity tends to fluctuate from sprint to sprint. This fluctuation can happen for a number of reasons, including the impact of partially completed stories, the impact of impediments, and team member availability or lack thereof, to name just a few. Using an average velocity or rolling average of the last 3 sprints is a simple option for calculating a more indicative velocity. Also, an accurate velocity is certainly reliant on maintaining a very similar team profile as well as the same regular sprint duration, or it runs the risk of becoming misleading or even meaningless. And that's it for applying relative estimation. I'll see you in the next video for another Scrum shortcut.